In the middle of 2022, residents in Park Royal and in the Clarkson South Meadowood area voted with regards to speed bump options. And these videos are in the context, this is a start of April 2023, where last month it was determined that Councillor Tedjo and Commissioner Wright may be looking at ignoring the results of those votes with regards to Brookhurst, Bromsgrove, and Orr Rd. And these videos are documenting what happened there. It addresses the misrepresentations that have gone on and the efforts to get them to address the issue. This video in particular focuses a bit more on the compromise options and what should have been respected in terms of what the residents had voted for. It gets into some other issues as well. Thank you. You can look at the table of contents underneath the video. For Bromsgrove Road, the voting implied, as in this display here, is road safety's compromise option of 4 speed bumps and 1 additional stop sign. Now, slide number 8, for Orr Rd, the voting implied the bottom section of the slide, which shows a compromise option of 3 speed bumps and 2 additional stop signs. Now, the top section isn't directly relevant today, but shows the prior request last year to obtain funding for 12 speed bumps and asserting that there was 63% support. But that was because the residents weren't informed about what was being proposed, predominantly, enough to give that kind of a result. Now, slide number 5. This one helps to clarify the understanding about why the compromise options, the level of support for the compromise options of 4 speed bumps and 3 speed bumps. Now, whether it's for a maximum number of speed bumps, if that's what you want, or if you don't want any, or anything in between, when none of the options that are available gets more than 50%, then the individuals at the extreme would reasonably be assumed to take a default to the next closest option. If you do that in the case of Bromsgrove, you end up with 100% of the people who voted supporting the compromise option, not 50, but 100%. With regards to Orr Rd, there's 2 compromise options. 62% would take the one with 3 speed bumps. Now, the question is how that compares with what's in the Agenda 10.1 information provided to you. And instead of 4 speed bumps for Bromsgrove, it's saying 10 speed bumps. And it's saying there's 56% support, which makes no sense. And I'll explain how that happened. Because the support is actually 26%, and even that is overstated. For Orr Rd, the Agenda 10.1 says that the support for 6 speed bumps, not 3, is 61%. But the facts are that the support is no higher than 30%. Now, slide number 6. This is a little bit heavy. I hope some people had a chance to review it first. Now, let's consider that one of the reasons to be supportive of the compromise options implied by the voting by residents is the fact that in 2021, none of the Park Royal roads and Orr Rd in the Clarkson South area, none of those were recommended for speed bumps by road safety. That all came because Karen Ras had some gas tax money to spend. And none of those roads were considered a priority by the police. In the last 45 years, there's only been 2 councillors in Ward 2. Councillor Pat Mullin, who has now returned to take care of the mess that Karen Ras left behind. Karen had been here since 2014. And it wasn't until 2021 Karen Ras looked at putting in speed bumps because she was looking at ways to spend gas tax money. I'm here in support of Pat Mullin in terms of representing the interests of the residents in this area. Now, this is what happens in the Park Royal area when people found out what was going on.
So I think the process needs to be outlined. It's my understanding that Council did establish an infrastructure project funding for each of the ward, which could be used at the discretion of each of the local councillors. And former Councillor Ras identified Orr Rd as one of the roads and many of the roads actually in Ward 2 for traffic calming. And at the same time, Meadowwood Road was identified by Road Safety as a candidate also for traffic calming.
Councillor Mullin did provide some overall context in terms of Councillor Ras's input to using Councillor capital funding for traffic calming, as well as our staff's perspective in terms of utilizing our traffic calming program within Ward 2.
In the other video in this playlist, Commissioner Wright references the traffic calming policy, and if you look at it on the website, it's a pretty simplistic policy. In the case of Park Royal and Orr Road, it was essentially accommodating the spending of gas tax funds.
So yes, we could go back and take a look at, are there any updates that we need to make to our traffic calming policy going forward to look at things like safety. And certainly we don't want to put in a plan that's going to, upset the majority of residents.
Very concerned about the lack of engagement with Peel Police, between road safety and Peel Police.
Traffic calming is an easy approach for us to retrofit a street to slow vehicles down and to provide a safer environment. So that's our overall objective. And in the absence of a strong police enforcement perspective, what tools does the city have to make our streets safer? And that's really our guiding principle here. After the traffic calming device goes in, there is feedback that some people don't like it. Their drive is disrupted, but that is the intention, is that people don't have the same access to the street they did.
As we put these speed bumps, all that happens is parallel streets start to get the problem.
And I think the deputant raised questions in terms of the percentage of overall support. And
Councillor Tedjo.
Thank you through the chair, and that you do have a legitimate point in acknowledging that there are residents who are not in favor, that we should consider as part of the mathematics around numbers and the types of traffic calming that we do employ. But I think we've learned a lot, and I think the department has done a good job of receiving that feedback and calculating what would be appropriate measures moving forward. So many tools that we have in our toolbox that I know the city staff are eagerly exploring, and I look forward to them continuing to do that in this instance in our area. But I don't think that what the city is trying to do is in any way inappropriate. Sometimes a government, an agency, whatever it is, needs to come in and say, we need to impose traffic calming.